bald, scarred man with the perpetual angry frown on his face steps back into his lab for the first time in several days, muttering to himself something about wasting time in backwaters with mountains of garbage. He throws his oversized weapon, a grenade launcher by the look of it, on the table off to the side of the lab, knocking over several empty flasks and vials. He winces from the noise, but keeps walking around his desk. He drops himself wearily into the ancient Androphan chair that sits there. The two strange, elongated, winged children step into the lab behind him and close the door, looming on either side of it in strange silence. A stack of papers has accumulated on his desk in his absence, reports from all across New America, and a few from the lands beyond. Captain Gartone scratches absently at the scars on his face as he leaves through the reports, giving each one only a second or two before judging its contents and putting it off to one side. His gaze lingers on the final report in the stack, the one that's been on his desk for the longest, before he gives up on that page as well. Gartone takes a deep breath. Dozens of geniuses, and each one of them is more useless than the last. It's exhausting. Truly exhausting. He looks up from his desk, using one hand to idly spread the papers out in front of him. DeSaulis is still missing, and I assume Shoud hasn't miraculously resurfaced. There are no answers from either of the blank, childlike faces in front of him. Still, Gartone seems to understand their meaning. He shakes his head. Osmond's like as not to have an aneurysm if one of us doesn't find something promising soon. Called Rassic up from the basement. Perhaps the shadows have been more fruitful than my army of incompetence. The silent child on the right turns, opens the door, and exits. This is Pod Against the Machine. The bald, scarred man with the perpetual angry frown on his face steps back into his lab for the first time in several days, muttering to himself something about wasting time in backwaters with mountains of garbage. He throws his oversized weapon, a grenade launcher by the look of it, on the table off to the side of the lab, knocking over several empty flasks and vials. He winces from the noise, but keeps walking around his desk. He drops himself wearily into the ancient Androphan chair that sits there. The two strange, elongated, winged children step into the lab behind him and close the door, looming on either side of it in strange silence. A stack of papers has accumulated on his desk in his absence, reports from all across New America, and a few from the lands beyond. Captain Gartone scratches absently at the scars on his face as he leaves through the reports, giving each one only a second or two before judging its contents and putting it off to one side. His gaze lingers on the final report in the stack, the one that's been on his desk for the longest, before he gives up on that page as well. Gartone takes a deep breath. Dozens of geniuses, and each one of them is more useless than the last. It's exhausting. Truly exhausting. He looks up from his desk, using one hand to idly spread the papers out in front of him. DeSaulis is still missing, and I assume Shoud hasn't miraculously resurfaced. There are no answers from either of the blank, childlike faces in front of him. Still, Gartone seems to understand their meaning. He shakes his head. Osmond's like as not to have an aneurysm if one of us doesn't find something promising soon. Called Rassic up from the basement. Perhaps the shadows have been more fruitful than my army of incompetence. The silent child on the right turns, opens the door, and exits. This is Pod Against the Machine.
Pod Against the Machine.
Welcome back to Pod Against the Machine, the only Pathfinder actual play podcast that has wider hips than shoulders. And also the only podcast that itself has both hips and shoulders. So, that's fun. I'm your host, and here's everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Howdy, Sam.
Howdy.
Salutations. Our hips don't lie, and neither do our shoulders.
No fighting. That's it.
That was the least. Hey, come on, guys.
Don't know why we'd be awkward after that totally normal introduction.
I, for one, am feeling very soothed. I was like, gonna fight.
Makes sense. Well, when last we left our heroes, the newly resurrected, that's how you say that word, resurrected Vargas chose the very capable four over whatever it was that his erstwhile mother was offering. And the party made some preparations and talked to Denvaya some and kicked the Kellids to the curb, went to bed. It was an unbroken night's sleep, and then they got some healing, tried to fix a gun, and tried to fix 2 guns, and only 1 succeeded, and went back under the Scrapmaster's arena. And it was not super quiet in Scrapwall, as people seemed to be coming back out from wherever they were hiding, but super quiet under the arena, as the only thing moving was not a mouse, but a Chul. It gave Kira a great big hug, and then it got beaten to death, which was mean. The poor Chul. It just wanted to eat like everybody alive. But that's where we are now, standing on this walkway with a dead Chul and a non-dead party.
Congratulations, non-dead party. I do, when it's not worth it, go back and just at the moment when Vargas chooses us over them, if we could edit in like an air horn sound, wah,
Yep.
wah, 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 and then have a cannon with confetti.
Yeah, I distribute the time-worn lobster bibs to everybody before we crack into this. Except for Vargas, he canonically has a shellfish allergy.
What does it mean that they're time worn? Is that like a 50%
Just
chance
roll a
that you just
D100
get butter?
before you crack into that.
You roll high enough, it does better than you expected at keeping you clean. It actually makes your clothes cleaner than before you
They
put
were
on
like,
the bib.
wow, it's like freshly laundered.
If you roll
nice.
low, then it melts and just is stuck to your clothes forever.
So, you've got run of the place here. Where are we going? Is you jumping down, running around in the lightly radioactive water, having a little beach episode? I hearing beach episode?
Good. Who brought watermelon?
Yeah, I feel like traditionally after someone dies, you have to beach it up, right? Well, I can provide tiny, tiny umbrellas.
Well, given the situation when we narrowly survived the last combat, we didn't have a chance to explore to the east. Considering many of our opponents came from that way, it's safe to assume that's the direction we should head next. Although we didn't really search the room with all these computers.
Just real quick, casted mage armor on myself. Was planning to do that initially, but sure.
Got chewled.
Yeah. Vargas will also cast Defending Bone and just grab some chewel bits, and they're like all floating around him now.
Oh, God.
Just a cloud of dead seafood.
That's horrifying. Now he gets a free intimidate check for the rest of the span of Defending Bone. I heard 2 options. Which room we heading into?
Like, we check the computer room with all the gore and blood, and then we go to where Drags. I don't even know how that name is actually spelled, so I just say it that way.
Like Drake's?
You guys like Drags? Yeah, we're gonna get sued by Brad Pitt.
What?
Wouldn't be the first time.
Did we ever break the TV in that room?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's a bunch of screens in here, but the one that Hellion was on, you smashed.
Okay.
Since it has been a little bit since you got the description of this room, climbing over the corpse of an Etten and several orcs, along with some tiny smashed beetle robots, you find yourselves in a chamber that's walls are obscured by banks of mechanical devices, flashing lights, and panels displaying rapidly changing messages in an alien script with images and mysterious markings shifting and changing. The air is warm and smells slightly metallic, and there's a constant high-pitched drone in here, seemingly coming from all of the equipment.
Can we... So, that alien language, is it Androphin, or does it look like it's something else?
It looks like it's Androphin, but, I mean, you're just basically seeing, like, some kind of diagnostics. Mostly it's saying, like, not found, or like talking about depleted power levels or damage to, some obscure set of coordinates that doesn't mean a lot to you. But it's just like a constantly changing, like, status readout of basically something that's in bad shape.
Maybe we do a quick search of this room.
Do the terminals merit like a knowledge engineering, or are we looking at it more of a perception at this point?
You can do either one.
Alright, well, I feel like my skills are probably better suited for the whole knowledge engineering thing, so I'm gonna do that on the terminals right now.
Same.
But I only roll a 5 for an 18.
Oh, I only rolled a 5 for a 16.
Well, if we're okay with just a regular perception, 24.
Vargas rolling anything?
We look under the keyboards, given our success last time, and find another keycard.
So, with inspecting these devices, you do find under a keyboard somebody has left an ancient, tattered square of yellow paper stuck to it that just says in Androphin, Love 1234. Very, very secure. But, I mean, it doesn't seem like these things are particularly responsive. It doesn't seem like there's really anything you can do with the devices. They're just in a constant loop of just displaying, like, failure after failure and, like, the bad, sorry state of whatever it is that you're in.
Are those tubes anything? It looks like tubes near the bank of workstations.
Strange tubes, but it's just all part of the same thing. All of this strange computing equipment.
Asher will touch one of the tubes.
It's confirmed tube touch.
And it explodes and he dies.
Again, man.
And it's warm to the touch and is, like, ever so subtly vibrating. Like, there's energy constantly running through it, but you just can't tell what it is it's doing.
I like to spend an inordinate amount of time repairing the flying robots and reprogramming them to be our drone army.
That makes sense. The door at the end of that hallway was left open after everyone and their mother squeezed through at the climax of the last fight. So there's no door to check there or anything.
I'm gonna head on in.
As you cross through this hallway, you're in a large room where the air is warm and stuffy and is buzzing with a similar energy. Countless blinking lights, wriggling shapes, and unusual strings of Androphin writing wriggle across glass panels mounted on the walls amid a dizzying array of buttons, switches, dials, wheels, levers, and other controls, the function of which one can only guess. 6 immense pillars, lined with glowing panels, support the ceiling 11 feet above, and a semicircular platform to the east sits under a slowly rotating, semi-transparent image of a curious contraption with long arms, one of which ends with what appears to be an immense, slowly spinning disc. Beyond this, 2 windows look out over a metal platform, which in turn looks out over an immense, damp cavern lit by brilliant beams of light emanating from some unseen sources below and above. Rubble clutters the room's floor here and there, as if pieces of furniture were once affixed to the ground but had long since been torn free, while to the northeast the room's walls have buckled downward into a crumbled mass of devastation.
Does this table seem like the one that we encountered earlier underneath the arena where Hellion appeared?
Yeah, this table with the slowly rotating image of the thing with the huge wheel on it. It looks like the holographic projector that Hellion appeared on a floor above.
So would Brixby get a circumstance bonus on disabling this, because he's already disabled one?
Ooh.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Well, I'm just saying, because that was what I wanted to do. And before any bonuses are there, not even calling this high-tech or mechanical, I roll a 12 for a 26.
Well, calling it high-tech or mechanical, and considering that Brixby is now an expert at disabling these holographic devices, he manages to shut it down and the picture disappears.
Excellent work. You're getting quite adept at this.
Thank you. They always told me I was wasting my time those 6 months at Radio Shack, but I said life skills.
I've sort of put yellow dots where there are doors because I didn't leave door icons on this particular map, and it may be hard to tell.
That's a lot of
It's
doors.
a big room, you know?
Are they on? I'm not seeing them. So, you mentioned windows out into a cavern. Is there any evidence from these windows of the digging we've heard about? I don't know if the angle would be right to see it, but...
It's hard to see the ground. You can see down into a cavern, and it looks like everything around is this sort of... the general collapse of scrap wall, but it does look like there's sort of fresh evidence of stuff being cleared away.
Does anything besides the hollow table look like machinery that we could like engage with at all? Do you want us to roll a knowledge engineering?
Yeah, if you'd like.
Yes, I always like.
Yeah, there's looks like terminals down there that you can mess with and stuff.
All right, then is a 12 for a 25.
Yeah, I think with a 25, Brixby is able to at least get one of these two terminals towards the center of the room to react to his prodding and button pressing. And the first thing that shows up on the screen is that same picture again that was just floating in 3D a moment before. And it looks like a sort of schematic. This looks like a big machine with some kind of huge wheel on the end, just like constantly rotating.
And that's not your grandpa's Tonka truck. Knowledge engineering or craft mechanical to try and ascertain anything other than it look dig?
Yeah, if you want to roll a knowledge engineering to sort of take in the specifications of what you're looking at.
How about a natural 18 for a 29?
This is definitely a vehicle of some sort. You can see it's got kind of treads on one end, and it's got wheels that support these gigantic wheels that seem like grinders or something, some kind of demolition equipment. But looking over the measurements that are provided and sort of trying to parse the endorphin and make sense of it in your mind, this vehicle that you're looking at it's got to be 400 feet long. It's just enormous.
Wow.
But we don't see any indication of this vehicle anywhere, right? Like looking out.
Are we in it?
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I wonder if we are.
Well, maybe we should pick a door, or set of doors, and start it busting.
That one, the southish.
Wait, what am I doing? I'm not going in first.
Nope. Canonically, you already have.
You already have.
It was that quick dip in.
Ran right through the door.
Vargas just opens this door. He doesn't check if we're trapped or anything.
Nope,
he
just-
just flings it open.
Got a new lease on life. Very short-term lease.
Flinging the door to the southern kind of central room open, you find a very small room that is just loaded up with junk and like just leftover equipment. Looks like that's just storage.
8 perception. Find anything interesting in there?
You find that you want to start throwing open more doors, but make sure you're farther away from the party next time.
It's a 13 for a 25 perception in the tiny room.
Yeah, it looks like there's not anything of value in here.
All right. Giroux brought up a good point. I'm going to check the next door to the south for traps with
All right, give me that roll.
Perceptione. Oh, there's the low roll. That's a 2 for a 14. If it's high-tech or mechanical, it's 15.
Yeah, it seems safe, but it is locked with a green key card.
I'm feeling flirty. He's going to slide the green key card himself, being up front.
Well, you get the familiar boop, and the door slides into the recesses, never to be heard from again. In the room beyond is a small room. It looks like the eastern half of the room is some sort of workshop, with all manner of metalworking tools hanging from the walls over junk-strewn tables. To the west, there's a sagging cot sitting against a partially crumpled metal wall, next to a 2-foot-tall metal cabinet. Dozens of empty tubes from which strange fluids drip lie in a heap atop the chest. What looks like a partially completed and crudely constructed mechanical orc, marionette, or machine slumps against the metal cage-like frame at the foot of the cot.
Tell me about these tools. Are they the kind one needs, or would make one, like, are like equivalent of like a masterwork crafting tool or any kind?
Nah, these are more crappy tools.
Crafter work.
I mean, you can roll like knowledge engineering on the stuff you see, but the tools themselves don't look like anything special.
What a tremendously timely and certainly valuable usage of my only nat 20 for 31 engineering.
Wow. Well, with a 31 knowledge engineering, you can tell that this item here, whatever it is, the construct is poorly built, and just honestly, there was no chance that this mechanical thing was going to be a functioning robot anytime soon. It looks like whoever it was that was doing the projects in here was not competent in engineering. It was just sort of tinkering.
Looks like somebody was, doing their best, and that's okay, but whatever they were attempting here, it never would have functioned the way they certainly would have hoped it would.
Brixby gives a disapproving look at the poorly, shoddily put together mechanical orc before leaving the room.
Roll for initiative.
There is also a second exit to that room, and there was that cabinet with drippy doodles on top of it.
That's right. Craft alchemy on the drippy doodles?
Go for it.
Okay. A 21 blackjack.
You are looking at the jackpot of 12 goo tubes and 2 vials of cure-all.
What was that?
A dose of cure-all allows the target to attempt an additional saving throw against a single disease or poison effect currently afflicting him. This additional saving throw counts for the total number of successful saves needed to recover from the disease or poison. If the target is suffering from multiple afflictions, a single dose of cure-all works against only the effect with the highest save DC. Cure-all also restores 1d4 points of ability damage or 1 point of ability drain that has been inflicted by a disease or poison, even if the user doesn't succeed at the save. A dose cures any ability drain before curing ability damage. If the target is suffering from drain or damage to multiple ability scores, the cure-all cures the score with the most damage or drain, or randomly selects one.
Here's drain.
Yeah.
It cures 1 point of drain.
Nice.
Well, I am certainly excited to discover these new goo tube flavors. I'm also pleased that, well, given our lack of healing skills outside of Denvaya and my own meager magics, we have a couple useful elixirs here.
Cool menthol nacho. Interesting. Yeah, it's not a flavor I've seen before. I wonder if this is limited edition.
Yes, it very well may be. I'm not sure whether I'd want to try that first or the limoncello lengua.
A party on your tongue, am I right? Hey.
Only one way to find out. Now, what about this door?
Your friend Brixby here with a 19 for his perception, 20 if it's high-tech or mechanical.
Is that for the door on the east or the cabinet?
Oh, I meant the door to the east. I wasn't thinking about the cabinet.
The door to the east appears to be untrapped.
Guess I'll also check the cabinet?
No, forget about the cabinet.
Too bad, you already said it. Oh, it's 29.
There's no cabinet that's, weirdly, with the 29, the cabinet was a figment of your imagination. And, it doesn't appear to be trapped, but it is definitely locked with a green key card.
Well, scoot? Whatever that sound is. We'll put a better sound in post. Scoot?
Nope.
That's the drop now.
That's
the one.
That's the sound of
I was
technology.
going to say the sound in post is isolating that, and that's the sound for every single door opening from now on.
We're going to edit it into all the previous episodes, too.
Patreon content.
All right, and he runs that through.
The cabinet clicks open. If you open the door, it looks like there's a hefty pile in there. There's a dagger hanging up on the side of it. There's also a heap of silver discs, a pouch with gemstones in it. Looks like there's an e-pick in there, but it looks a lot nicer than Brixby's. And there's also a weird thing that I don't have the description for.
Let's say I'm detecting magic.
The dagger appears to be magical, and the other item looks like a weird, bulky bracelet with lights on it.
All right, pop those bad boys out. And I guess we'll try an old spellcraft on these, I guess.
I don't know if you want to try.
It's Vargas that has this too, right? Not Kira?
Yeah, I have spellcraft.
Very cool. Ooh, buddy. That's a 2 for a 12 for Brickspell.
Probably do a little bit better. Okay, that is a 19, 10 on the die.
With a 19, you can tell that you're looking at a pretty nice little dagger. It's a +1 icy burst dagger.
We should give that to Kira so she's got a one-handed weapon if she gets grappled again.
I'll take it. Jeff, are you going to say something?
No, that's exactly what I was going to suggest.
Cool.
Roll knowledge engineering, though, on that dope bracelet. 21.
With a 21, you're looking at a hard light shield. Time-worn though it may be, this bulky bracelet is covered with blinking blue lights and pulsing holographic emitters. A hard light shield produces a translucent but substantial holographic barrier when activated. The shield bonus counts as a force effect and applies to the wielder's touch AC against beam and ray attacks, but not other touch attacks. As a transparent force effect, a hard light shield provides no bonus against lasers. Hard light shield can be used to deliver shield bash attacks like a heavy shield. When turned off, the hard light shield produces no AC bonus and poses no spell failure chance. Activating it is a move action, occupies a wrist slot, and provides a +2 AC bonus as a shield.
So that's sort of like, there's a ring that's kind of like that too, isn't there? Like a shield ring or something that's the
There's
same
a
kind of...
ring of force shield, but that's a little different. I mean, regardless, I think that would be a good fit for you, Akira. Because neither of you have, like, wrist slot items, right?
Yeah, and I don't have anything giving me a shield bonus unless I prepare and cast shield, which I never do because I have fewer slots.
Totally.
Unless Kira wants it.
Go for it.
It does have a 10% arcane spell failure chance when active.
Yeah, which that's not
So is it a
terrible.
move to deactivate as well? Or is it free?
It doesn't say.
Okay.
And it uses 1 charge a minute. It has 11 charges left on this time-worn item.
And was it always a plus? Is the +2 AC that only against the ray attacks, or is it a +2 for everything?
It's a +2 shield bonus, but it also buffs your touch AC in those specific cases.
Oh, okay. So the shield bonus for always, the touch for the specifics. Got it.
And the last thing in the bottom of this locker is a basically a metal binder loosely stuffed with all manner of papers.
What's in here? Yeah, sure, we'll pick up the binder. Get a paper cut.
More sonnets.
Make a fortitude save.
I'd imagine there's a sticker on the front that says Kolgara's journal, do not read.
She said she didn't like stickers. No.
It's a label,
It's very,
she says from
it's a
beyond the
label.
grave. I assume you just throw that away because it's not.
Yeah, no, we burn it.
I picked it
Toss
up on purpose so that I could just power move, just drop it and walk away.
He rips it in half because he's been working on ripping phone books in half.
Even with the metal cover, that's really impressive.
Yeah, no, Asher is impressive.
Especially with my strength 9. Yeah. Asher will open the cover of the notebook, but refuse to look at it. No, please tell me what's in the pages.
It just says Miss Kolgara Hellion over and over and over.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of that, and a lot of drawings of dolphins and ponies jumping over rainbows, which really gives Kira the sense that this was a kindred spirit and really a missed opportunity, I think, for friendship.
I mean, it would have been if she hadn't, gone out with the dying words that stickers are stupid, was it? I guess it wasn't technically dying. It was ahead of time.
But most of what you see in here is tactical information in nature. It looks like she was tracking numbers of troops and lieutenants under her command, possible travel routes over Numeria, mostly with designs on marching on Starfall itself. With the entire army somehow moving as one big unit. These notes are heavily revised, and it looks like the names Mayanda, Marrow, and Bird Food and others have been struck out with increasingly thick lines as she's pushing harder and harder on the paper, and the number of available troops and groups is just adjusted down and down and down. And also in here, there are lists of possible places to look for supplies, possible sources for batteries, generators, diamond dust, and potential sympathizers to the cause. There are designs for small strike teams, and as you get on through the pages, there are very crude drawings of each member of the very capable four just looking totally dead at Kolgara's hands. She's holding the chainsaw over each of your corpses several times throughout the pages. It seems like maybe you struck a nerve with her at some point.
No, it's visualization. I support it.
Once you get past the sort of army leader stuff, she's gotten a bit more philosophical further back in the binder, and it looks like she's written about Hellion himself, how he was born from a god of some kind from beyond the stars, an impossibly powerful ancient being who dwells in the Silver Mountain, growing in there like in a giant egg, waiting for its time to emerge and ascend. How there could be no greater threat to life on Galarian than what sits inside that mountain. She talks of how Hellion means to strike at the Silver Mountain, crack open the egg with the massive weapon buried under Scrapwall, take the mantle of power from the god who grows there, and ascend himself to his rightful throne. She talks some of an older sister Hellion is spoken of, who escaped from the source before he was born, the sister who stole something of great value from this source and could be a wonderful servant. She's written with genuine hate about this source, this being, as a mad tyrant with a moral structure and logic completely alien to our own. As she slips back sort of into the tactical, her notes detail the search for Hellion's sister as the best possible ally in their war against whatever it is that lies below the Silver Mountain. She meant, or means, or I guess meant because she doesn't mean anything now, to deploy a force to a town called Eidenvey as soon as possible, but with Meanda gone, she was finding it difficult to assemble a suitably competent party. She also doesn't know where in Eidenve the goddess is. She seems to be more shy than Hellion. And at the very back of the book, there are schematics that you've just seen of the giant piece of construction equipment. And there's another set of schematics. I'll pop an image up for you of a 10-foot-long arachnid-like robot with pinching claws and a huge weaponized tail. Here's a second view of it. Kind of looks like Robo Kingsley.
Oh, no.
That's what you see.
This is what Kingsley becomes at level 7, right?
Yeah. So Hellion is definitely gonna fight us with that thing, right? Like, this is gonna be freaking Metal Gear Solid.
Does any of Kolgar's writings say the sister's name? Hellion's sister's name?
It doesn't look like she wrote a name anywhere.
Guess we'll just have to ask him.
It's love 1, 2, 3, 4.
You've cracked the secret.
Asher's like flipping through these pages. Hellion doesn't like eggs or mountains. He left something on the mantle. And he has a sister, apparently. And, well, Kolgar meant to go to Eidenve soon. Apparently that's where Hellion's sister is. A goddess who might be shy. She also wanted to kill us, which we knew. If you look at her artwork here, it's kind of adorable. But
Look how pointy she made Vargas's shoulders.
They're so broad.
wow,
She really hated you.
it's almost comical in how inaccurate it is compared to the real thing.
Can we at least roll a knowledge local on Eidenve?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eidenve.
I've literally only seen this in a Pathfinder Tales story before, so.
Yeah, I googled how do you pronounce it, and the consensus seemed to be Eidenve, so I'm good
right.
with that.
Well, I'd roll a 13. That's what I got.
17 for Asher.
I got a natural 20.
Natural 20?
Plus 2? Plus 2? Plus 2, 22.
Alright, well, it makes sense that Kira would know the most about Eidenve, even though she'd never been there. But it's in Numeria. It's off in the southern end, near the upper reaches of the Dagger River and near the Echo Wood. It's a pretty weird place as far as Numeria goes. It's a reclusive, isolated town of woodsmen and hunters, very dedicated to the worship of Erastil and like very anti-technology. So yeah, I mean, they are pretty openly defiant to the Technic League, but the Technic League also kind of ignores them because they don't have anything of value to them.
I've never heard of this Technic League. Is that like the Technics League?
It's like that.
Similar. Yeah, Kira will share that information with the group. I've never been there, but my mom told me a story about it once. It's kind of weird. They don't like stuff like Vargas doesn't. They're not scared. They just don't like it. And also think that's all the things that I remember from what Sam was saying. So I'm just going to trail off from this now.
This eastern door, though, is it filled with like the name of Hellion's sister?
Mm-hmm.
It's
other-
got such name in it. Vargas just blasts through the door.
For some reason, the other two... Oh, because we were on top of them. So I just saw me and Kira, and I'm like, when I was tabbed away looking at this shield that doesn't work in Hero Lab, did the other two already walk out? Because I couldn't see them because they were under our tokens.
Well, stepping out that door puts you out on a sort of balcony overlooking this cave, and you can see far down below, over the edge of the balcony, just barely sticking out of the dirt below, are these gigantic treads. And
We're in the digger.
Sky metal?
yeah, who
Sky
was
metal.
it that said that we were in the excavator?
It was me.
Well, Jeff, you get a sky medal.
Nice.
And for the first time ever, your sky medal comes with a message from one of our patrons.
Oh, I'm so
How
honored.
fun.
Nice.
I hope you're ready for this. I hope our patrons are ready to send in more, because we do not have enough. May this keep the magic smoke in your tech items and release it from enemy robots. And that is from Rain and Daft of To Have and To Roll. So thank you, Rain and Daft, for your support.
Thank you. Magic smoke.
And this catwalk heads over to the north. It stops at this giant metal scaffolding that disappears into the rubble ahead of you. And to the south, it looks like it wraps around and there's another door down there. Yeah, it looks like there's sort of a makeshift bed out there on the ground for something big.
Roll a nat 1 for a 13 for perception, but it's a 14 if it's mechanical or high tech.
You're pretty sure this is a door. You're also pretty sure it's locked with a gray keycard.
Oh, you know what I didn't ask was, tell me about those e-picks.
Oh yeah, e-pick that you found has a green stripe on it.
Ooh, sick.
So that is a substantially better bonus.
Is it time worn or anything, or is it?
It is not time worn.
Ooh.
You are good to rock that one forever. So the door seems safe and it seems locked.
All right. Well, I'm just gonna slide the green key card again then.
Insert Zach's door opening noise here.
Oh no!
The door opens and it reveals a small room, like loaded up with junk, with a dirty bedroll lying on the ground, and a humanoid man with tan skin who is very dirty and disheveled looking in a cloak pops to his feet the instant the door opens, and he looks absolutely just like shocked and terrified. And he goes, hey, you're not her. You're not her.
Brixby nudges Asher a little bit. He's like, the talking to hostages and fearful people is your thing.
Ah, yes, well. Hello. Neither of us are female. You've correctly ascertained our gender identities. My name's Asher, he, him pronouns. Who might you be, and what are you doing in here? Were you being held captive?
And he takes a deep breath and sort of looks over the lot of you to just take a second and calm himself down. He's like, you're not with the Lords of Rust at all, right? You're not them?
No, we're well on our way to seeing that they are the Lords of Dust. As in, because we've been defeating them rather soundly. We're still workshopping that.
No, I got it. It would work better if they were undead, but yeah, it's pretty. I'm Nolek. They locked me up in here a while ago. He holds out a hand and like he's counting on his fingers, and he goes, I'm not sure that they haven't fed me in like 4 days. Nobody's been in. If you have any food, that would be great.
There's 132 goo tubes.
Asher will hand over, well, he'll toss a goo tube in there and say, I'm curious, Nolek, what prompted them to keep you alive rather than, well, killing you like they've done so many? Do you have information they were trying to obtain, or were you being used as leverage?
Well, and he takes a second, unscrews the cap, and just absolutely houses the goo tube. It's a little gross, but he gets every drop out of there. And he takes a deep breath and drops it on the ground, and you can see behind him there's a broken Hellion monitor hanging on the wall. They destroyed my spell book except for this one spell, and he grabs a spell book looking thing off the ground that almost all the pages have been torn out of. They've been having me charge some batteries, but I mean that takes you need components for it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, they just wanted me to charge batteries, I guess.
All this time they've been using you as some sort of energizer.
Yeah, I mean, they stopped coming, though.
Well, you mentioned components. What sort of components did they need? And he'll toss another goo tube as like a, hey man, we're cool.
He says, well, for recharge, you need diamond dust, kind of like what clerics do. It's really kind of dumb that it costs that much just to charge a battery, but what can you do?
And that makes sense why there was notes about where to find diamond dust.
Mm-hmm.
It's all coming together.
Does anybody want to make a perception check?
I would love to.
Well, since you've asked.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
Dirty 20. Oh, never mind.
I'd like to say clean 20. Oh, wait, what did Zach get?
Clean 20 for a solid 32.
Oh, that beats mine out.
I got a 9.
Nice. Well, I think everybody but Vargas notices, maybe as he's leaning down to grab that second YouTube and his robes just shift slightly, he's wearing this pendant that looks like a black gear with a white triangle inside it. And he picks the goo tube up and unscrews it and eats it again. And then he just says, I gotta say, I thought I was gonna die in here. They stopped coming. I thought they were just done with me.
So, wait, no.
They found a
real
better...
quick. How does that goo tube taste? Does it taste good to you?
And he looks down at the goo tube, and it is
The
cinnamon.
flavor is, no, it's Kansas City barbecue mangosteen, and that tastes good to you, yeah?
His eyes go wide. He goes, it's all...
It wouldn't
It's
taste
fine.
better, say, if it was manufactured south of where it was manufactured originally.
Well, everybody knows Texas barbecue is the best barbecue.
Right. Roll for initiative, Sam.
Also,
Brutal.
he is so lucky that the only person that failed that perception check is the only person among the group who would immediately have attempted to kill him, regardless of how much info he had.
So they captured you here. Were you living in Scrapwall, one of the locals? Asher will say surreptitiously, having seen the pendant.
I mean, I haven't lived here for super long, but I mean, I joined up with them a little ways back because it seemed like they were running the place, and at some point I just made the wrong person mad, and Kilgara threw me in here.
Yes, it's sad that sometimes you start off at the top and even the brightest star can fall.
Blinks at you several times.
Asher blinks back.
So, are we good here? Can I go? I mean, you guys, you got stuff to do, right?
I mean, we do have some tasks to attend to. You're certainly correct about that. I do wonder, and Asher would kind of take a step into the room and just ask him in a little quieter voice. Were you here in Scrapple on official League business, or was this a pleasure trip, perhaps? And I'll roll a diplomacy. It's only a 19 total.
He's I think he's gonna do a sense motive on Asher here to see if he thinks Asher has ill intentions based on his demeanor. Now, does Asher have ill intentions? Is he disguising ill intentions?
No, Asher was just immediately suspicious. He's not from these parts. He's only heard the bad things of the League, and he does his conversations with Totally For Real, his name's Connor, and hearing like what at least that one Gartone was doing, you could say it dropped him from indifferent to unfriendly, but even his unfriendly is probably nicer than most people's unfriendly. He's not openly hostile, but he is he's questioning this person's motives now for sure, and is just trying to get to the bottom of that. he hasn't, like, drawn a weapon. He's just looking for info.
And I think he, like, leans in kind of confidentially, and he lowers his voice, and he goes, like, look, I mean, you do what you gotta do, right? It's just a job, right?
Asher will roll his own sense motive. 18. I get the feeling that it really is just a job to this person.
He seems to be, yeah. Seems to be being honest.
This town's gone through quite a bit, sort of changing of leadership around these parts. It would be unfortunate if news of anything you may have seen here were to bring any more attention to this town. I think perhaps you didn't see anything out of the ordinary beyond the normal scrap.
And he nods and he says, listen, I don't know what your whole situation is. I'm coming into this, you know, I've been locked underground for a while now, but I don't have any problem with you, and I don't have any loyalty to Hellion. I just, you know, I just a guy who gets paid a buck to gather information. I never have to say a word about seeing any of you. As far as I know, none of you were here.
That's fair and fine to me. I am not trying to come across intimidating so much as coming to an understanding. That's all good and well. I think that sounds like we understand one another.
Kira from the back is just... I can be intimidating if that's what's needed. So I have a +5 bonus with a chainsaw. So just,
Asher will chuckle. Oh, no, I don't think that's going to be necessary. We're all friends here. And, yeah. It's a 17 bluff if you're wanting to sense Asher's motive.
He's very visibly nervous.
Yes, he's gone through enough. What with the spell book and the energizer just going and going and going. Let's let this man back to his life, and as much as we know goo tubes are both nutritious and delicious, perhaps solid food would do him well.
Mm-hmm. Good luck with your solid food and being a totally upstanding citizen.
Yes, and as you head back to where you originally came from, keep an eye out for the dastardly Technic League. They're all over the place around here. You can't be too careful. You never know who may be a member of the League.
Those guys suck.
He totally give Vargas the side eye and a sort of like, yeah.
On your way out, though, Nolek, is this really the only place you've been so far? Have you seen any more of this structure before you forget?
I mean, I haven't been any deeper in. I haven't been through the caves or anything. When they caught me, I was going through Kolgara's stuff, but she's got a lot of interesting information in there and stuff that, you know, a lot of people want to know.
Who wants to know, friend?
And he'll look over at Brixby, kind of peering around Vargas, or peering around Asher rather, and he says, "You didn't hear this from me, but there's a captain in the Technic League, Gartone. That's who I work for. He's got all of us out here looking for something. A stolen artifact, a neurocam. I think, based on what I saw in Kolgara's office, that sister they're talking about is she's a woman named Cassandra Lee who stole it from, well, in the Silver Mountain. So I think I know where the neurocam is."
How would you feel about using that information as, say, a bargaining chip. Like, if I knew someone who maybe really didn't like you, and you were like, I will tell you where this chip is, and that person was like, okay, cool, you can stay alive. Hypothetically.
He goes, I mean, if I don't have to hold anything back from you, I'll tell you anything I know if it means I walk out of here. I'm not your enemy.
You're not my enemy.
You said you worked for Gartone. Is this the same Gartone that, in the past, kidnapped and experimented on dozens of Kelid children?
I don't know anything about that. I just go where they tell me to go and look for information.
Well, I'd recommend that you get yourself a new job. In fact, I'd say that after you tell my companions here everything that they need to know to find out about this neural whatever it is, that you will promise us that you will never go back to Gartone or the League. Otherwise, you're not leaving this place alive.
And, I don't think you even need to roll an intimidate check on that. He's, this guy is pre-cowed.
Yeah.
And he's also a wizard with no spellbook and no rest and no
and
food.
Vargas remembers what Connor said about the stuff Gartone got up to. Like, he would not let that slide. Like, this guy is not going back to tell that guy the kind of stuff that Hellian's been doing. Like, that is the last person that needs to know about any of this.
He'll say, all right, I'll walk away. You gotta let me, but absolutely, I won't go back to Starfall. I'll leave Numeria. I'll go, I don't know, someplace warmer. Just anywhere but here. I'm fine with that. I'm not loyal to them. It's just a job.
13 sense motive. Anybody else get a better one than that?
18.
With 13, Vargas definitely thinks that this guy is scared enough that he's absolutely telling the truth. He will basically do anything that you say. And I think Asher gets mostly the same impression that, like, maybe there's a little bit of hesitance in his voice, but at the same time, he doesn't seem like he's going to defy anybody. He seems like he's going to run away.
In this, Cassandra, you're absolutely certain that's the name of Hellian's sister?
I mean, I'm jumping through some logical hoops to get there, but I know that Gartone is looking for an android named Cassandra Lee, who stole a neurocam from inside the Silver Mountain from, I don't know, I mean, deeper than anybody else has gone. That I'm pretty sure that it's the same one that Hellion calls a sister.
And you say you know where this device is? The neurocam?
According to Kalgara's research, she fled to Eidenve, so that's where I'd look.
Yes, we must go there after we finish this. And Asher looks sort of out of sorts.
Hard to really figure out which one was the favorite between Hellion and Cassandra Lee. Can't really tell which one the parents kind of,
If Hellion named himself.
I mean, no, of course. They're computers, I don't know.
I mean, it could have been like Cassandra Lee and like Cassandra
Charles.
Steve.
Fair.
Cassandra B.
And he's like, changed it to
It's
Hellion?
the legend of Cassandra Steve.
We changed it in the 9th century.
I wonder if we're not even going to find Blood Ghost and Tatter Lady here. Because didn't we, when we first, there was somebody that we talked to, I feel like it was some other random prisoner we took at some point, that mentioned that, like, Kolgara was raising a force to send somewhere. And now we see both from her diary and from this guy that, like, she's also... So I'm wondering if she's already sent people out to... What was it? What was the town called again?
Eidenve.
Eidenve.
What do you know of this neurocam artifact? What was it supposedly able to do? Why is Gartone searching for it other than I hear the League doesn't want anyone else to have technology beyond them?
Well, the neurocam it's an amazing piece of technology, and that the League has a few of them. They're like a helmet, but they can store an absurd amount of knowledge in them. And we think that there could be no limit of information on what's actually inside the Silver Mountain. There could be maps, there could be diagrams, there could be lists of artifacts from beyond where anyone, even Zydo, who has been able to get. It's potentially the most valuable item on Galarian.
Then who? Zydo? Dido?
The Zydo, Osmond Zydo, the head of the Technic League.
I heard he won't go down with his ship.
And I think that anyone who's been keeping abreast of the Technic League or the goings-on in Nomeria, that name sounds wrong. The leader of the Technic League is a woman, and her name is Zernabeth, not Osmond Zydo.
Huh. Anybody have history? I don't.
Let me look. I do
Yes,
not.
I do. I have a +5 in history. 14.
I mean, with a 14, you know that there's a lot of turnover and violence and one-upsmanship amongst the Technic League captains. But as far as you've heard, Zernabeth, the Winter Witch, has been the leader of the League for years.
So I wonder if there was like a recent coup or something and they kept it under wraps. They kept it from being like widely known.
Zydo, you say? I'll admit I'm not from these parts, but the last I had heard, and I know little of the League, is that Zernabeth was the leader. Has power changed hands recently?
He goes, well, I don't know when exactly it is, but he's in charge. He went deeper into the Silver Mountain than anyone's ever gone, and that's kind of you get a lot of respect from doing something like that. And then he's powerful. He's got the loyalty of a lot of the captains. I don't know. He's the boss. He's who Gartone answers to, anyways.
I see. Interesting. That's certainly useful information. Well, Asher will look to Brixby, Kira, and a little more nervously at Vargas regarding this man's well-being. I can't think of anything else to question him on. And he'll kind of rub his forehead a little bit. Do any of you have questions for him?
I think maybe after the mention of it, Vargas will step up and say, the Black Sovereign, the League, they serve Kevath Kul. They're not equal partners.
I mean, they serve him in name only. He's not in any state to give anybody orders, really, these days. He went the way of Julie, as they say.
Who says that?
Vargas will just look at him. What do you mean he went the way of Julie?
He's all hopped up on the fluids. He's out of his head.
Kevath Kul, the Black Sovereign, is a Numerian fluid junkie.
He backs away a little bit, even though there's not really anyone anywhere for him to go. And he goes, "Yeah, I think he's been that way for a long time."
He's gonna be kind of shocked by this, because that is not the guy that he remembers. He does not like Kul on a personal level, but he respects him as a military leader among the Kellids, and I think that's just kind of hard for him to swallow, that he's a drug addict.
Yeah, I think Vargas would know him as an absurdly skilled warrior. one of the best fighters on the planet.
Yeah, no, like, he's the kind of guy that, like, and, like, it's actually something, a little bit of a spoiler for an intro I've never cut yet. Their first meeting was basically Cool handing him his butt in a fight and saying, "You work for me now," pretty much. Like, he thinks of this guy as, like, ridiculously effective leader. Like, the idea that he's like Julie is kind of nuts. I think, especially with this new info, which I as a player also think is kind of real interesting to hear, because that changes what I was assuming is something that's going to happen later on, because now it sounds like we probably won't ever get a fight against him. I assumed he would be a future boss at some point.
We can still fight him.
Yeah,
we fought
I guess
Sandville.
what's his name was Sandville was a fluid junkie. But I feel like that kind of threw him through a loop, so I think he's not thinking too much about, like, what to do with that. He's more mulling over the fact that his old boss is a drug addict.
F's in the chat for Kivath Cool.
Not cool, man. We need to send some dare people his way.
So we can let him go?
Yeah, did anybody else have any other questions? Yeah, I think we're good. So we throw him over the edge down into the tire track.
That's what I was waiting for.
Best of
That's
luck.
it. The 300 style kick at his back that Vargas is known to do. Yeah, I mean, I don't really love to say we let the Technic League agent go, but I mean, Brixby doesn't have particularly super strong feelings about the Technic League, besides, like, he thinks technology belongs to everyone, but...
Yeah, I think the thing Vargas would be the most worried about is from what he's heard about Gartone.
Garcon.
From what he's heard about the maitre d', he doesn't want him to have the kind of information he would have from somebody who's been working under this super powerful AI for the last several months. Like, so as long as he's got his word that he's not helping him, I think we're good.
Well, I always just assume, or, like, I have assumed that we are letting him go under the express, like, understanding that we are going to change what's going on down here significantly enough that no matter what exists technologically or whatever, it'll either be destroyed or ours. So, I mean, maybe that is a bold assumption.
Like, technology is for the people, but us first.
Technology is for the people, and we're people, so...
And we are people.
Yeah. I want this giant mech tank.
Yeah, I want this spider
Machine.
thing that we saw the things
Yeah,
of it.
that
That thing's got a
thing's
driver's
Very
seat
cute.
in it.
I love it.
So I think Nolak is going to basically start edging between you guys and the wall, just sort of squeeze his way by.
We do not move to make it
excuse me.
easier. Like,
Excuse me, just
there you go. All right.
If I could just get by there.
Uh-huh.
Hold on.
Okay. See you later.
1 second.
Hey.
And, okay, well, it's been real. And if nobody stops him, Nolak will peace out. And he will, once he gets clear, I think he's going to start running. And you hear footsteps echo off the metal floors.
Gonna start running
place.
and never stop.
And he is gone.
And Asher just kind of is. He's shaking his head, and he almost seems speechless. He looks to his friends and says, "I have heard this name before, Cassandra. I have no idea her identity as an android or perhaps a sister to the very being we've come to destroy, but..." And he laughs. "I have a letter to deliver her." And he'll take off his hat and kind of stick his fingernail on a seam and draw out a very old envelope that has Cassandali's name written on the outside. And he'll put his hat back on his head and say, This letter came to be in my possession. It's apparently meant to be delivered to her some time ago, perhaps hundreds of years ago. And he'll open it, and the letter says, The mountain holds no answers for you. Turn back now. Only death awaits you there. He shakes his head and just kind of laughs. It's like, well, I don't know if that was the Silver Mountain or if it means nothing now, but an android. This has been circulating for so long. A good luck letter of some kind, and it's meant for an alien android.
But who's it from?
Yeah, is there a signature or anything?
No, but the legend is that some priest of Bry rode out to deliver this letter to her over a century ago and didn't find her.
How did you get it?
It's a long story, but
Jeff is going to bed.
no, not that
A
powerful.
long story that will be told over several 2 to 3 minute long flashbacks over the course of the next 30 episodes.
You may find out in book 5. No, well, and he'll kind of look at his now masterwork pistol and say, I got this letter from the same place I got this gun a long time ago. And unfortunately, the gentleman who carried both of these items is deceased and unable to give any answers, but I have it on authority of the one who trained me that they don't know. I assumed, like those before me, that it was some person, just a person who's surely long dead by now, but assuming this is that same Cassandra, that was an incorrect assumption.
Asher, you're best friends with a android goddess.
Best friends? No, that's Brixby. Sorry. But no, I'd never met this person. I'd just been carrying a letter meant to be delivered.
What if we have met her? Do the rest of you remember the gearsman under Torch, the one that tried to speak to us? What if that was this Cassandra?
Trying to communicate to us.
It certainly seemed far friendlier than Hellion has shown himself to be, or than this source sounds like it is. The only option left would be her, right?
No. We don't know how many options there are. We didn't know before this moment who Cassandra was. There's more seats at this table than we can see from where we are. I don't want to necessarily stop this line of thinking, but it's not relevant to right now.
Bixby looks nervous. He's just like, I mean, this has been a really important conversation, obviously. But I mean, we are a room and a half away from where 2 party members nearly died. Mm-hmm. 1 party member did. And so he's just kind of got this, I don't know, he was a little upset by like interacting, I mean, seeing that technically symbol on that individual, but like not really, his only association is really like Sandville and how their friendship changed. But I mean, I think at this point, you know, we don't have enough pieces to speculate.
He's lived his entire life in Numeria too, so even if he hasn't interacted with the League, he would have news of the kind of stuff they do.
Absolutely. But I mean, at the same time, I mean, all I've always known them as is don't let them know what you found inside X or whatever, because Brixby was doing salvage before this. So like he's aware of who, like the Technic League and what power they have. But I mean, I just don't think that At this point, I mean, we can't even get it straight necessarily who's running the league.
Yeah.
But we just learned that Hellion has a sister.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we have anywhere near enough pieces to start
Yeah.
to put this together. And the clock is ticking.
Yeah.
Still,
And like
technically.
Brick said, like, it could be like, and we had talked to this, I don't remember if it was on the actual show or if it was just us talking afterwards, that like if every ship has an AI, there could be hundreds of these things running around.
No, totally.
Yeah.
Like we have no idea how many of them there are, and yeah. Yeah, this is interesting. I mean, the Asher tie to Cassandra Lee is
Really interesting.
So satisfying.
And Asher, for his part, his hands are shaking. He like carefully folds this letter back in to the envelope. He's like, she's alive.
It's got to be like, imagine like you were carrying around like a letter to some guy named Josh for like 2,000 years. It's been passed through your family, and you find out it was addressed to Jesus. Like, that's gotta be insane for him to have just found out this thing he's been carrying around is meant to be given to a god.
And like he's always just kept it for good luck. Like he's taken it seriously. He serves a goddess of luck. Mm-hmm. And this has been something that's kind of been handed down around along these gunslingers. And he never thought he would actually deliver it to its intended recipient. So he doesn't know what to say. But he carefully puts the envelope back into the seam of his hat and kind of folds that pocket back down.
And I think as Asher replaces his good luck charm, the unknowably old piece of mail, I'm going to bed.
Good night, Sam.
Good night, Sam.
Good night, Sam.
Right, Sam?
Against the machine. Against the machine.
Hot Against the Machine is property of Network Against the Machine LLC, all rights reserved. Pathfinder and the Iron Gods Adventure Path are property of Paizo Publishing. See their website for more details. Theme Against the Machine was written and performed by our own Zach. See the show notes for additional music and sound licensing. If you enjoyed the show, we encourage you to leave us a review. Is he actually here? I see a frozen picture.
I see her moving.
Okay.
Yeah, she's moving around mine.
Okay, I only saw the totally frozen face for like a long time.
Yeah, it's just a printout of Izzy's face she puts up in between her turns. Thought you would notice by this point.
I always wanted to do something like that for like the peephole to my office when I had one. Of just like, yeah, I'm totally in there working, not taking a nap.
Yeah, it's like a dryer sheet made out of like 3 dead crabs. Yeah.
Why?
I don't know, Sam. They ask why.
Theirs is not to ask why.
Sometimes you don't have any regular dryer sheets, and you don't want your clothes to get all staticky, so you just throw a dead crab or 3 in there, and
Couple dead crabs.
then you're not so concerned about static. Just all your clothes smelling like dead crab.
Thank you.
And no one can see your static cling because no one wants to be around.
It's true.
I don't want to be around this. Like, we're going to lose some listeners over this. We need a content warning.
Warning. Ceviche scented dryer sheets. Oh, God, that's a terrible way to start this episode off. Well,
Yeah, edit all that out. Hello.
hi, Sam.
Hi, no time has passed. How's it going?
Sorry, I launched us back into the game.